أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ورضي الله تعالى عن سادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقلديهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah. Welcome to our daily class, or almost daily class. We're here every Monday through Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And when we started in this time slot, the first thing we did was we covered a book in Maliki fiqh, the Untitled Al-Akhdari, the basic book on Maliki fiqh with this cover that we have. And we will get back to Maliki fiqh. We will be going through this book again and other Maliki fiqh texts, if Allah give us success. Inshallah, in the future, we will be teaching the Ashmawiyah, which is another similar small basic Maliki fiqh text. We will be covering Umdatul Bayan, which is Sheikh Uthman bin Fodio's basic text on Maliki fiqh, and other small basic texts in the area of fiqh. It is our intention that we always teach one book of the Shaykh every week. So when it is our intention that if we go into one of these other books that are not authored by Sheikh Uthman bin Fodio, that we will add an additional class which will cover one of the books of Sheikh Uthman bin Fodio. Likewise, we also intend to always repeatedly cover books on Aqidah, books on the proper creed. We covered this book right here already, Usuluddin, the Foundations of the Deen, written by Sheikh Uthman bin Fodio, and we will cover it again, and other texts on the proper belief of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'at. Like, for example, the book that I just mentioned on Maliki fiqh written by the Shaykh called Umdatul Bayan. That book also covers what is necessary to believe as a Muslim. So we will be covering Aqidah from that book sometime in the future. And also the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd al-Khayrawani. That Aqidah section of that book is very good, and it can stand alone as a book on Aqidah outside of the other subjects that it deals with. So alhamdulillah, when we finish this text, and we're almost finished with it, it is our intention to move on to the text named Risalatul Amrad Shafiyah, which can translate to the letter of healing for social spiritual diseases, written by the son of Sheikh Uthman bin Fodio, whose name was Sultan Muhammad Bello. That book is a must read because he gives you the principles that must be in place for a community to be successful, for a community to stay together, because this book is actually not a book, it's actually a letter of advice that he wrote to all of his subordinates, his amirs and other leaders when he became the Khalifa. When his father, Sheikh Uthman, died in 1232 after the Hijrah, and the oath of allegiance was given to him as the Khalifa, this is one of the letters that he sent out to his amirs. And in it, he summarizes 7 issues that are necessary for holding the community together. And many times people ask me for advice on building a community or strengthening a community. A lot of times, even though I may not mention it, that's where I'm coming from. Because you're talking about someone who was there from day one when it started from classes, lectures, seeking knowledge, until the end product was a khilafah, a caliphate. And if you look at the Prophet ﷺ, it's the exact same thing. It started as classes, durus, and it ended in Medina to Munawwara, the illuminated city of Medina. See, it goes from learning and teaching, or for lack of better words, theory, into actualization. It's not meant to stay theory. It's not meant to be just something that's in your head. And this is a gear that a lot of us are stuck in. And that's part of the reason why we're stuck, because we don't practice the information that we're taking in, so it doesn't go to the next level. What you take in, you have to internalize. And you have to practice. You have to implement. The knowledge is supposed to be for us, lana, and not alena. It's not supposed to be against us. Any beneficial knowledge that we have that we don't practice is a proof against us and not a proof for us. So that's what we intend on covering. And the books will be available. That book, that particular book, Risalat al-Amrad, that book will be available no later than Monday, inshallah. In fact, we're setting it up where you can pre-order now. Alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nisi, Sharnice, Khadija. Khadija says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Samira, Farouk, Dorahim, Isa, Baron, Dul Kareem, Malika, Zakaria, Teresa, and Hakeem. May Allah bless all of you for joining us. Alhamdulillah. It's important. We should get out of the mindset. I want to say before we get back into the book, we should get out of the mindset that, because a lot of us, we think that, okay, I'm Maliki or I'm Hanafi or I'm Shafi or whatever we are, and I learned a basic book on fiqh, so I don't have to do that again. If this is the way you think, that's wrong. You have to always repeat, renew, and go over what you already know. Because I guarantee you, without hesitating or stuttering, when you go over that which you know and you learn it again, even with the same teacher or a different teacher, or you read it on your own, you're going to learn something that you didn't know before, even though you covered the information already. Or the person, the teacher that you're learning the book with or the case with, he's going to bring out some points that the previous teacher didn't bring out. Or even if it's the same teacher, that same teacher may emphasize something different the second time he went over the book than he or she did the first time. And so it's important to go over these things over and over again. It's not good enough to do it one time. One time you're just getting your feet wet. That don't even work. Washing your butt in the shower, it don't work. You don't just get in, have the soap on a rag, and just wash one time and get out. No. You saturate the rag or whatever you're using to wash yourself with first. And you saturate your body with the water. Then you scrub. Then you rinse. Not just one wiping or one wetting. No, it don't work like that. Even with cleaning the dirt off of your body. And it's definitely not that way. It doesn't work that way with seeking knowledge. It's very similar to washing up. A lot of times, the first time you cover a book, you're just getting your feet wet. You're just getting stuff wet. You're missing a lot of things because a lot of concepts, a lot of terminology, you're just getting familiar with. It's new to you, and so you don't absorb as much. And so by the time you get at it again, you know certain things you already know, so you're able to get a little bit deeper and a little bit better. And this is the case with all areas, not just fiqh, but also aqidah, or the proper belief, as well as spirituality, tasawwuf. It's the same with all of those things. So don't think that it's okay, I did it one time, or I did it twice, that's enough. No, it's an ongoing process. If someone can ask you about any issue, which is an individual obligation known as Fard al-Ain, and you can't answer that question without hemming and hawing and stuttering and going back to your notes, you don't know that issue. You have to go back. And a lot of us weren't taught, and myself included, we didn't come to Islam being taught properly, where we learn Fard al-Ain. We learned a little here, a little there. We learned stuff that we didn't need to know in the beginning, and we knew a little bit that we needed to learn in the beginning. We learned that wrong. We learned that right. We learned that way halfway wrong, and this way halfway right. It's just a complete mixture of everything. And so we have to take all of these things into consideration, and we have to always, review and go over and over and over again. I mean, even if you're painting a wall and the wall is brand new sheetrock, it's sanded, it's ready to go. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to put one coat of paint on there. It's not going to look right till you put at least 2 or 3 coats of paint on it, if not more. Not even talking about the primer. So you see, in all these other aspects of life, you don't do it just one time and think I have it. No, you have to go over it and over it again. And every time it's going to be better and stronger. Maliki said there's wisdom and repetition. They say, well, iyada ifada, and repetition is benefit. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Madam. Also, I know I'm going off, but Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, it's mentioned in Bukhari, said, La hakima illa dhu tajriba. There's no wisdom except by experience. The same statement is in Imam Tirmidhi's Sunan, and he said it's from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's no wisdom except by experience. I'm tell you by my experience. If you don't know your Fard al-Ain, your individual obligations, and are firmly rooted in them, you're wide open for someone to mislead you and hustle you. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. You can have, razor sharp street smarts. You can be highly intelligent, book smart. But if you don't know your individual obligations, you're wide open. Because if you don't know your individual obligations in the deen, then your measuring stick, the thing inside of you that you use to decide whether you're going to trust this information or that person or that group, is really based upon how they make you feel. If it make you feel good, okay, I'm not too sure because I don't have a foundation in this. The foundation is the third eye. I don't have a foundation in this, but it sounds about right. I'm gonna go with it. And if you strip away all this sophisticated logic that we use to explain why we do what we do and all that kind of stuff, that's really what it boils down to. I heard this person say something and it felt good, so I'm riding with them. You don't have a basic foundational level of knowledge to be able to check or to verify. Let's say I'm talking from experience. When I got more firmly grounded, in my mind, I'm not firmly grounded, but when I got more firmly grounded in my individual obligations, then I start reflecting on the past. I ask myself, how did I even listen to the dude before? Anybody that knows the individual obligations in this area would know that this person don't know what he's talking about. And it's deep because with different issues now, and because of experience, and I look at some people and I be like, subhanAllah. They be like, for example, person X, Y, and Z, this person is a sheikh, he has a high level of knowledge. And I'm like, for real? Have you heard what he said? Like, for a basic student of knowledge, that doesn't claim to be a scholar, can correct and refute what this person has said, but you think this person is extra heavy. As one of my elders back home in New York told me, this is the first time I heard this saying that a lot of us have heard for a long time, but the first time I heard it was in the mid-90s. He said, that the one-eyed man is king in the land of the blind. The one-eyed man is a king in the land of the blind. And it just goes to show you that so many of us are blind, and we trust and love and believe in a whole bunch of one-eyed people because they don't even know what they're talking about. As soon as you get one eye open, you're like, oh, wait a minute, hold up. How do I even listen to this dude? This dude don't even know what he's talking about. Basic issues. I'm not even talking about deep stuff. Basic issues. There's no way to get around getting caught up in that except by learning the basics. Many times people like, who's a scholar? We need to know who the scholars are so we can go ask questions. And then when you figure out what type of questions they want to ask, they're not even questions that you would ask a scholar. They are questions that you should already know the answers to because they're basic. They're part of the individual obligations. But we're not even at the basic level yet. And we think that these questions that we have to reserve for scholars are scholarly questions. And if we were doing our job and we were practicing and learning and teaching Islam properly, our preteen children will be able to answer these questions. That's right. It's just like building a house. If your foundation not firm, any old storm will destroy it. And that's what we're seeing amongst our people over and over and over again. How many of us were, for example, because it's the thing that afflicts us the most in most of our areas, how many of us were default Wahhabis like myself, or just outright Salafis or self-proclaimed Wahhabis, self-proclaimed Salafis, but in actuality Wahhabis, right? And then Allah blessed us, opened our hearts to guidance, and gave us a little bit more knowledge. And we like, whoa, I was with that. How many of us were with different Sufi groups, right? And then, we get in the Sufi group or the Tariqa, right? And I'm not saying the Sufi the way the Wahhabis say Sufi. Sufism is part of Islam. It's tasawwuf, right? But there are different tariqas and branches of tariqas, right? You get in it, and then you see some strange stuff going on, right? And you question it like, wait a minute, hold up. And this is what happened in a lot of these tariqas and these branches of tariqas. Like, wait a minute, hold up. That don't sound right. Sheikh, Muqaddim, Murshid, or brother in the path. Why aren't we doing this, or why are we doing that? What they hit you with? Brother, you shouldn't even be asking questions. You got to be like Prophet Musa when he was with Khidr, mentioned in chapter 18, Surah Al-Kahf. You need to be patient with the Shaykh, right? And so we get punked out of asking questions. We see something clearly haram going on, right? And we like, but don't question it. Don't ask you. Don't ask about it. You need to be like Khidr, because if Musa would have been patient instead of questioning them three circumstances, he could have learned more from Khidr. So you need to take a lesson from that. So they punk you out of even asking questions because you saw something that was off. And some of us, we go for that. We're like, okay, let me just shut up. The Sheikh knows and I don't know. I'm going to be like a newborn baby in his hands. I'm going to let him turn me and wash me and all kinds of stuff. We let him do all that, only to find out that this Negro's hustling. And what the Sheikh was doing contradicted the Sharia. In other words, the Sheikh's practice of the inward contradicted the practice of the outward. And in Islam, they don't contradict each other. They support each other. So, but a lot of reasons why a lot of us keep getting caught up in these different groups that emerge based upon new aqidas or expressions of tasawwuf, right? Or branches of groups in the different madhahibs, the schools of thought, these little close-knit circles, the cults, right? These circles, we keep getting caught up is because we keep trying to take the shortcut. We not learning our individual obligations. And it should be easy to learn our individual obligations because these are things that we're doing and practicing every day. You know what I mean? How many of us make salat without making a mistake? We make mistakes all the time, and we have to correct it. And there's a way to correct it. We have to learn how to correct it. How many of us, don't make wudu that often? No, you make wudu every day, several times a day. And all of the issues related to that. We have to know these things. And the reason why we keep getting hit like this is because we keep trying to get around the fard ayn, individual obligation. And it opened my eyes wide when I realized learning the basics is learning from a madhab. The basic put that up there. The basic foundational information of what every individual Muslim should know. Exactly, as a system. And we have to plug into the system. You don't make the system up as we go along. How many nurses we got here? Do you just show up in nursing school and they slap a big book on the table and you just go somewhere? Yo, I like this chapter. You look in the table of context. Yeah, I want to learn about that first. No, people will look at you like you're crazy, right? You get in, you sit down and you shut up and you go from A to Z. You don't make it up when you want, based upon what you feel like. I always like biology. Let me get into biology first. Right? No, you just go from whatever the system determines. still learning, but alhamdulillah, I knew that it wasn't correct. Alhamdulillah. And just in case some of us don't understand, learning is not a process that stops. Nobody ever reaches a level where, okay, I've learned all that it is to learn. That never happens. That happened to me and caused me to leave a group of some good Sufi brothers. Yeah, a lot of and I say even the same thing about the Wahhabis, the self-described or self-identifying Salafis, the Sufis, and all the other people. Nobody gets in these groups saying, I want to do what's wrong. I want to have an improper belief about Allah. I want to do some practices that negate Islam. Nobody says that. Everybody gets into these groups and these organizations and these affiliations trying to do what's right. But a lot of times we keep getting caught up. And there's some people that perpetually keep getting caught up. Like there's some people that join one Sufi tariqah, right? And the tariqah itself may not be bad, but the sheikh of his branch is shot out, right? And so he gets caught up, right? After his bank account gets drained, right? He gets caught up. And then he leaves that and he goes to another one, right? And then he sees some crazy stuff with improper relations between men and women. And then he leaves that. And then he gets to another one, right? Then at some point he reaches his breaking point. And then now he has a problem with the soul. No, the problem not with the soul. The problem is with you. Because you didn't have enough basic Islam to see the red flags. There was a void in you. There was something missing. And when something's missing, you wide open. And so you keep trying to fill that void in these different groups, and you keep getting had, getting took, getting bamboozled, all because you want the shortcut. You want the special magic glow-in-the-dark weird that's going to help you become a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without putting in work. It don't work like that. And a lot of times these groups, that's how they advertise it. This is the shortcut. You're not going to have to do the jahid, right? You only have to worry about to shahid. That's all you have to worry about. You're not going to have to do the work. You're just going to witness without doing the work, right? And a lot of times, and that's the problem. We have to stop saying, okay, I found the shortcut. This makes me feel good. No, you need the basics. And also, back in the day, a lot of times they wouldn't even initiate you into a tariqah until you knew the basics, meaning the fard eye. So, mashallah. And this is important because we're talking about avoiding evil sheikhs. A lot of times we don't even know that they're evil because our measuring stick of good and evil is not from the Quran and Sunnah. We don't have enough basic information to judge what's evil, what's not evil. We keep trying to get around that point. And the beautiful thing is about Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, right? Everything's already been codified. If I teach you the Akhdari, right, the basic book on Maliki fiqh, and I try to slip in some of my own stuff, anybody that know basic Maliki fiqh be like, whoa, Naeem don't know what he's talking about over there. I don't know where he got that from, right? Or if I try to slip in something in the creed of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, be like, whoa, wait a minute, where you get that from, right? That's not belief Ahlul Sunnah wal Jamaat, right? Anybody will be able to call you out. But a lot of times we get tricked and manipulated into getting into these little off-brand side affiliations that claim to have special information that ain't nobody else got. So that when the teacher or the sheikh, slips in his own little Mickey there, they always got the excuse. See, they're not with us. They really want to understand. It's a higher level type thing right here. Before you know it, you'll be giving the sheikh permission to sleep with your wife, and you think that it's a blessed thing that's going on. It's how crazy some of this stuff get. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Adam. Was told we don't wear colors, we just wear black. We can't use prayer beads. That stuff sounds good when you don't have a lot of information. They just keep ignoring all of these narrations where, like, for example, the Prophet's wife, Safiya, or Abu Huraira would have a whole bunch of rocks and doing dhikr with those rocks. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam not admonishing them for it, right? Right, they just ignore that part, right? That's what we call microwave Islam, trying to take the shortcut, exactly. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Nadira and Kashif. I was told your wife has to cover in the bathroom because the sheikh can come through the walls and see her. Sheikh better stay out of my house, I know that much. You can quote me on this. Sometimes, and I'm not talking about what you just said, Malik, you just made me think of something. Sometimes people say and do things to us knowing that, okay, we are Muslim and, we're not going to do anything. But some people need to get punched in their face. Because a lot of people do things to other Muslims that are clearly foul. Ain't no excuse for it. Sometimes in the name of the deen, and they do it because ain't nobody punched them in the face yet. Yes, I'm advocating punching some people in the face. Yes, it's recorded, it's documented. Some people do some real foul stuff, and reminding them about Allah and His Messenger hasn't worked yet so far. There's only one language that certain people understand. Punch the sheikh in the face, and you stay out your bathroom trying to look at your wife. I don't have to explain. Y'all know what I'm talking about. A lot of times I don't worry about, somebody taking my words and twisting it, because I already had that happen to me. If somebody wants to make you seem like you're saying something that you shouldn't say, they can do that with anything, much less those words that get close to it. Alhamdulillah. So let's go back to, we're on page 52. Remember, the Sheikh is talking about evil scholars. The author said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وحلق أمتي عالم فاجر وعابد جاهل وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم أنا من غير الدجال أقوف عليكم من الدجال فقالوا ممن يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال علماء السوء. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the destruction of my ummah, my community, will come about because of a corrupt scholar or the corrupt scholar and an ignorant worshiper. The destruction of his ummah. See, we're talking about corrupt scholars, but we can't fall into that ignorant worshiper stuff either. A lot of us fall in that category. We are ignorant worshipers. And we support corrupt scholars. Why? Because we're ignorant worshipers. We don't think that they're corrupt because we're ignorant. We're abidun jahilun. We're ignorant worshipers. We worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we are completely ignorant. And ignorance is not something that's praiseworthy in Islam. It is not. Islam is not, in Islam, ignorance is not bliss. Growing up in our neighborhoods and in the hood, being ignorant is cool. But in Islam, intelligence is always praiseworthy. The first word that was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Iqra, read. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated Adam by means of what Allah taught him. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ أَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah taught Adam the names of all things. Knowledge. قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Say, although is the one who knows like the one who doesn't know? This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to say in Surah Zumar, chapter 39. Ignorance is not bliss. Don't let somebody punk you into being content with ignorance. But the destruction of the Ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is because of this corrupt scholars and ignorant worshippers. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, I am not a Dajjal. Dajjal normally translated as the Antichrist, or the one who is going to come with major deception. You know, he's going to come at the end of time, and he's going to, subhanAllah, he's going to come with what appears to be fire. It's going to be water. He's going to come with waters appear to be fire. And a lot of people are going to go towards the water thinking it's water when it's really fire, and vice versa. They're going to go to their destruction. The stuff is not going to be clear. There's only going to be certain people that's protected. You ignorant worshiper, you ain't going to be protected. And it's sad now, because sometimes you see things, you see different issues come, and it's amazing the position that the Muslims take on a lot of these issues. I'm like, are we reading the same book? Is there some other false, fake Quran floating around here that we don't know about? How you be Muslim and take these positions? Right? Well, anyway, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I am not a Dajjal. We should know who a Dajjal is. I am not a Dajjal. And I fear someone else for you more than my fear concerning a Dajjal. And this is not a light statement, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned the Sahaba over and over and over and over and over again about Dajjal. And he was concerned about his ummah as it relates to a Dajjal. But then he said in this hadith right here, he's worrying, there's something else that he's worrying about for our sake more than the Dajjal. Then they said, from who, O Messenger of Allah? And he said, the evil scholars, ulama asul. In other words, the evil scholars is more dangerous to us than the Antichrist. As much as we know about the Antichrist, who's going to have all these powers, going to have all these people riding with him. And it's going to take the coming back of Isa bin Maryam to deal with him, right? As much power as Allah is going to give him, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying he ain't worried about him like he's worrying about someone else. This is the evil scholars. Don't sleep on these evil scholars, subhanAllah. And the more you know about this basic information, don't allow yourself to be fooled into saying, well, maybe I ain't see what I saw. No, you saw what you saw. You saw it. Yeah, sometimes we want to believe the best. And we're taught, have a good opinion, have a good opinion, have a good opinion. Husnul dhan, have a good opinion, right? But then you see something. And then you're like, huh? Maybe there's an explanation. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it ain't. Right? You need to clarify. We need to be aware of who we take our deen from. وروي عن حذيفة بن اليمان رضي الله عنه أنه أخذ حصة بيداء فودعها في كفه ثم قال إن الدين قد استدعى مثل هذه الحصة هذه الحصاة ثم أخذ كفا من تراب فجعل يذره على الحصة حتى وراها ثم قال والذين نفسي بيده ليجدن أقوام يدفنون دينا هكذا كما دفعت دفعت هذه الحساء ومن أبين علامة أنهم لا يصلحون ولا يتركون من يصلح فمثلهم كمثل الصخرة في النهر لا تشرب ولا تترك من يشرب فكل واحد منهم أضر على الناس من ألف شيطان وليس القبر كالأعيان. It was related on the authority of Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman, may Allah be pleased with him, that he, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, had taken a white stone, a white rock, and placed it in his palm. Then he said, truly the deen has been illuminated like this stone. Then he took a handful of earth or dirt and he sprinkled it over the stone until it completely concealed it. Then he said, I swear by the one who is in control of my soul. You'll see this phrase a lot in hadith. Walladhi nafsi biyadihi, right? A lot of times some people, if we haven't been trained properly, will translate this, I swear by the one whose hand is my soul, right? Biyadihi. No, we don't translate it like that, right? If you do ta'wil, right, figurative interpretation, one of the permissible ways to interpret this phrase right here is, I swear by the one who has control of my soul, right? So when you see that, just, if you have a book, especially if it's a book from Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat, and they translated it literally, just cross it out and write above it, that either leaving it in Arabic and not giving it any meaning, or use one of the ways that the scholars have permitted you to interpret that, right? He said, I swear by the one who is in control of my soul that there are people coming who will bury and conceal the deen the same way I just have covered this stone. See, the job of the right acting scholar, the scholar, is to make sure no dirt gets on that stone. But the evil scholar, he's covering up the stone. One of their more obvious characteristics, pay attention to this. Pay close attention. One of their more obvious characteristics is that they will not rectify La yuslihuna, they will not rectify what people have corrupted from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they will not leave alone those who wish to rectify. What do you mean? I bear witness that what the Sheikh is saying is the truth. You don't have to go after and attack these evil scholars. The evil scholars will attack you. Some of them know on a conscious level that what they're teaching is wrong. And you could say, you know what? I'm not going to, engage that sheikh over there. I'm just going to be over here teaching what's proper. Don't worry, just give it time. He's going to have his name in your mouth, and he's going to have your name in his mouth. And he's going to come out against you. The sheikh is talking from experience, not just from the books. He had to deal with it. What did he say? These evil scholars, they're not going to rectify the situation. They're not going to rectify and fix and correct what's wrong in society. And they're not going to leave you alone to do it. They're not just going to leave you alone and let you do the right thing. Because if everything is wrong and everybody up to that point was quiet, and then you come on the scene teaching what's right, they're going to think you're trying to take away their shine, and they're going to attack you. They're going to try to undermine you. This is why you need to pay attention. So when you have people that's trying to do right and trying to teach the proper Islam, like our brother Imam Amin Muhammad, pay attention not only to what he's teaching, pay attention to who comes out and attacks them, and who's sitting with, and who's in the side cheerleading when they attack. Pay attention. Don't sleep. And there's more people who haven't made themselves known yet. You want to think, oh, we can sing Kumbaya because they're Ahlul Sunnah, they're Ahlul Sunnah, they're Ahlul Sunnah, they're Ahlul Sunnah over there. Alhamdulillah, we're going to all unite. Watch. Why certain people ain't rushing to put their hands in our hands to work together? Why? And they've been around all this time. Why they been so quiet? Why are you quiet? They're not. A lot of these evil scholars, they're not going to say, man, I should have been doing this. Well, alhamdulillah, he beat me to it. Let me change up, but let me start doing it too, and let me give some support wherever I can. They're not going to do that. No, they're going to do the opposite. They're going to try to find a way to undermine, sidetrack, derail, character assassination, if they can't do it subtly, right? If some of them are so uncouth and they just can't help themselves that they will just come out and just character assassinate and just speak openly. It's like, you'll be surprised. Sometimes you'll hear stuff come out of people's mouth. You'll be like, did I just hear that? And that happens to me sometimes. Sometimes the stuff I hear is so amazing that I'm like, no, I didn't hear what I just thought I had heard. Maybe I heard it wrong, right? People are like, why did it have to be him? I'm better than him, right? You're like, huh? He said that? Yeah, he said it. Don't listen to him, listen to me. But you ain't saying that. Or you're only saying it to a small closed group that we got to pay to get into, right? So this part right here always stuck out to me. One of their more obvious characteristics is that they will not rectify, because one of the characteristics of a right acting scholar, or more specifically, a mujaddid or reviver of the deen, is that he, as one of the narrations of the hadith says, he will rectify, this word yuslihu, he will rectify what has been corrupted of the deen. This evil scholar, he's been around. He's not going to do the rectifying himself. And if you emerge and start rectifying it, he's not going to leave you alone to continue rectifying it. He's going to try to undermine you, attack you, go against you, turn people against you. That's what he's going to do. So we can't be naive people. Keep your eyes open. I'm not saying be paranoid, but keep your eyes open. When somebody shoots an arrow, pay attention to who the arrow comes from. Not just the fact that the arrow's coming. The arrow came from a quiver, and somebody was holding that quiver, and somebody aimed at you. Let's not be dumb, right? Somebody shoot at you, right? Say, man, don't worry about it. Bullets ain't got no name. All right. Okay, you dodged the bullet, right? Okay, now let's talk about the gun that the bullet came from, who was holding the gun when they shot it, and why they was aiming it at you. Let's not be ignorant here. And if he got away, he's reloading. He's coming to shoot again. So let's not be ignorant. A lot of times because we don't want to face the reality. And a lot of times it's heartbreaking for a lot of us because we want to see the best for the Muslim community. And when people get on opposite sides and they start beefing, and we want to ignore what we're seeing right in front of our faces. No. Somebody attacked someone. Why did they attack? especially if y'all claim to be on the same side. Why are they attacking you? And a lot of times, this is the reason right here. Their likeness is that of a huge boulder placed in the middle of a river. It does not drink, nor does it allow others to drink. Look at the imagery he gives you. These evil scholars, what are they like? Just picture a river, right? And there's a huge big boulder right in the middle of the river. That big boulder is actually redirecting the water. That boulder don't drink no water. And everything right behind the water, or where that water would normally be going, is prevented from drinking or benefiting from that water. These evil scholars. That's why they're a hindrance. They're an impediment. That's why what the Sheikh said before. They're helpers of the shaitan. They're not just some benign, neutral entity that that's not really hurting us. No, they cause harm. They are harmful. Therefore, each one of them is more harmful to the people than 1,000 devils. One of them is more harmful to the people than 1,000 devils. One of them is more harmful to the people than 1,000 devils. And then he said, hearing about something is not like eyewitnessing it. And this is a popular phrase that he said, Laysa al-qabru kal-a'yan. Where did that phrase come from? The Prophet ﷺ himself mentioned it. That phrase. What's the context? Musa was getting revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Musa alayhi salam. He was in a place that was in the place that was established for him to communicate directly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without the intermediary of angels. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Takalam Allahu Musa taklima. Allah spoke to Musa directly, right? And so Allah informed Musa that his people was worshiping the golden calf. Musa was upon Tawheed. He's not teaching shirk, obviously. He's teaching the people oneness of Allah. He goes for a few days away after doing all that teaching, saving them from Pharaoh, all of these things, and just that quick, they worshiping a golden calf. So when Musa came back down and actually saw his people worshiping the golden calf, he dropped the tablets. Okay, what does this have to do with that saying, hearing about a thing is not like seeing it? Musa already had prior knowledge that his people were worshiping the golden calf. Allah told him. But when he came and actually saw them worshiping the golden calf, how we say it hit different. It hit different. And he was shocked by that, and he dropped the tablets. Laysa qabru ka'ayyan. Hearing about a thing is not like seeing it. Or being informed about a thing is not like seeing it yourself. Alhamdulillah. So we're going to pause right there. Abdul Kareem says, I'm waiting on a Shehu Dhikr session from Imam Naeem. I'm waiting patiently. You might be waiting for a long time, Aki. While I'm waiting to see if any of y'all have questions, let me give you a little something. You know, the Shehu was Qadariya and Tariqa. And just like, and this is what we are Qadariya, right? And just like any Tariqa, you got branches of it, right? In the Shehu's branch of the Qadariya Tariqa, and even really like the Shehu was Maliki, just to give you an example, right? And just like in the Maliki school, like any other schools, you got branches and various opinions in the different schools, right? You find that the opinions of the Shehu are more consistent with the Imam of the Madhab, right? So the Shehu's position on different issues in the Maliki school are very consistent with Imam Malik himself, not necessarily many of the other scholars in the Madhab that may differ with regards to methodology or protocol. Likewise, you find his position with regards to the spiritual path real similar to those of the founder of the Tariqah, Abdul Qadir Jailani, rahimahullah. Right. So, with that being said, in our branch, we don't do quote unquote group dhikr. We don't do group dhikr, meaning group dhikr is sultan wahid, dhikring together in one voice. We don't do that. And so I know here in the United States, a lot of people do that, and we don't like make inkar on that. It's, we're not nobody's saying haram or anything like that. But in our branch, we don't do that. So you're not gonna see too many people who do like a group dhikr session. So that's why I say you may be waiting for a long time. You may be waiting for a long time because we don't do that. We have our awrad, meaning our weirds, and our azkar, like everyone else, but you will not find us doing them all together, like in one voice, in unison, like that. Even if we happen to be together and we're dhikring, everybody's doing it individually, not in one voice. And for a lot of us in America, we kind of like turned off from that, because I noticed a lot of people, they kind of like fell back from that and they go to other turuq because it has what I call more bells and whistles. More bells and whistles. Like you can get together with the brothers. Y'all can get together and y'all can do dhikr and jamaat. Y'all can do all of these different things together in one voice. It makes you feel good. It gives you a good how. Puts you in a good state. And a lot of people, they're chasing states. They're chasing ahwal. And so some people need that. This is, I believe. This is my opinion. I'm nobody. They need that. So if you come over like to us in our branch of the Tariqah, you'd be like, man, ain't no group dhikr day. Yo, what's up, man? Ain't nothing to do here. It's boring. The kids say, it's boring here. I'm going, right? We don't have all those bells and whistles. Maybe in other branches of the Qadriya Tariqah, maybe, yes. And I've seen it myself. Like in Sudan, for example. When I was in Sudan and I was in Mayerno, that's where the descendants of Sheikh Uthman bin Fodio made hijrah to when the British were invading Nigeria. Well, before it became Nigeria, when the British invaded Hausa land and got control over it, they named it Nigeria. Up to that time, it wasn't no Nigeria, right? So when the Sultan at the time, Abdul Rahman, and his successor, Muhammad Bello Mayerno, not the same Muhammad Bello who's the son of the Shehu, but his descendant, same name, Muhammad Bello Mayerno, completed the hijrah to Sudan, the modern day country of Sudan. So a lot of his descendants, the Shehu's descendants, are in that village and other villages in the area. And you would see on Yawmul Jumu'ah, like, the different branches of the Qadriya Tariqah come in. They will come in, singing praise upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you would see the Sultan. He wouldn't participate in it. He would actually politely leave. So I'm just being honest with you. All of that's in response to our brother Abdul Kareem's question. Likewise, I left Tariq for the same reason. One of them, I was the only one away from the students in America, wasn't included in the crowd. A lot of these Tariqas, they become like, snob clubs. You watch these little teenage type of TV shows, like with a whole bunch of, for example, white young girls, and they in school or in college, and you're not cool. You're over there. Look at the clothes you have on. It become groups like that. These Tariqas, right? And they increase in the negative characteristics that the tariqah and tasawwuf in general is supposed to be purifying you from. They become snobs. They become arrogant. They start looking down on you. They start seeing other people who are not with them as less than. And even within the group, those people who are close to the sheikh are better, and those people who are far away, you like peasants. Well, just all types of same type of stuff you've seen in high school. In those type of high school, teenage, chick flicks that people be watching and stuff like that. Like, man, subhanAllah, there's some TV stuff I didn't see that in Sufi Tariqa here in America. That stuff is not impressive. That, for me, my background, that stuff is not impressive to me. I see that stuff, like, in my mind, I don't say it obviously, but in my mind, I'm like, I don't even respect you. If we was in the street, I'd have slapped the flames out of you, right? You're not even tough, right? Get out of here. Walking around arrogant, and we Muslim. And sometimes, to me, that's my own personal, the way I'm wired, my red flag. A lot of times when that type of energy comes to my mind, I learned for myself after experience that that's a sign for me, because Muslims, we're not supposed to be like that. Maliki said, now it's official. I'm Maliki. I was leaning towards Maliki because of the Shehu books, but it's a wrap. Alhamdulillah. Welcome to the promised land. I'm just kidding. I'm a Maliki, that good old soulful group dhikr at home alone. Is there authentic hadith that says there will be contemporary scholars who will be aligned with ad-Dajjal? If so, what are their characteristics? Yeah, we just mentioned that. I don't know if you just logged on, but we mentioned some of their characteristics already, and we mentioned the hadith. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Mary. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Abdurrahim. Alhamdulillah. You out for salat? Yeah, you're right, Imam. LOL. I left it alone completely. It became a gang, cliquish. I got some good from it. It wasn't all bad, alhamdulillah. But I was like, nah, this is corny. Yeah, like, mama, y'all be corny by yourself, right? Like, and sometimes, and I'm not saying those people are bad, but that's a sign, right? That's literally a sign, right? Sometimes a sign can be pointing the wrong way, right? But it's a sign, right? This thing is supposed to produce the opposite of what we're seeing. Why isn't it like that? Is this group supposed to become a group of arrogant snobs whose value is based upon proximity to the sheikh? Is everybody else a peon? And if everybody else is a peon, do I have the right to talk down to them, be dismissive of them, and treat them like nothing? It's not even Islam, much less part of any tariqah. But this is what we see. And those things always self-destruct and implode anyway. All you got to do is get your popcorn, add extra butter, kick your feet up and wait. It's only a matter of time. It's going to happen because it's not serving the purpose that it was designed for. So are there different branches of the Maliki school? I wouldn't say different branches, but they're like in every method, not just the Maliki school, you have different positions within the school. Like, for example, you have different opinions on different issues between different schools. Like the Shafi say this, the Maliki say that. Also, you have that stuff happening within each school. Some branch, for lack of better words, of Maliki say this, some say branch say that. Like, for example, just give you an obvious open example that's well known, right? In a Maliki school, it's well known that Malikis pray with their hands by their sides. This is what we do, right? But also within the school, there are positions that you pray with your right hand over your left. And that's all within the Maliki school. So I wouldn't necessarily say branches, but opinions. Because see, every school is protocols and there's methodologies that brings about different positions in every school. And sometimes in every school, when that methodology is employed, for example, sometimes the end result is a position different than even the imam of the school or another imam within the school. I still have so much to learn. Now, don't shake your head. We all got much to learn. Trust me. Anybody that knows Maliki fiqh, and if they listen to my classes, they know that I don't know anything. I try my best just to stay in my lane. And if I don't know, I just say I don't know. We all just learning. Maybe on one issue right here, I'm like one step ahead of you, but we all still learning. None of us have arrived. At least I haven't. And I'm not one of those people who like try to pretend I got knowledge and all that kind of stuff. I'm not one of those people. If you come in and you say, you know, you don't know nothing, I know more than you. You know what I'm going to say? You're right. I don't know. Alhamdulillah. So alhamdulillah, we're going to close. And tomorrow we're going to finish this section on the evil scholars. Alhamdulillah. Okay, I'll read this last comment. Sheikh praising. It got big from 2010 to 2015-16. It was a new scent, a fresh air. I get it. A lot of us were looking for something to attach ourselves to, feeling left out. LOL. Cool J said it best on the movie In Too Deep. Many black people in America want to feel like they are a part of something. That's true. And I'm leaving this comment up on the screen for a minute just to emphasize that. That is so true. That is so true. I mean, if we understand that part about ourselves, it'll help us understand a lot. Excuse me, I have to cough and spit. Hold on. It will teach us a lot about ourselves, about why we have this relationship to gangs the way we do, and it affects us a lot differently than other people in other ethnic groups. Why we act the way we act when it comes to deen, meaning deen of Islam or any other deen, right? There's a void there, and we try to fill it with different aspects of the deen. When you see other people who are African, most of them look like all of us got a twin in Africa, several twins in several, and not just West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, all over. We all got twins there, right? They look exactly like us, right? But they don't come from the same social background and experience that we do. And you'll find that because their social experience left their families intact. For the most part, their families, their tribes, their lineages, all of that is still intact. Even though the same ones who enslaved us colonized them later, right? Their families were left intact. Us, Our families were destroyed. We were ripped from our families. And then when we got here, our families have always been undermined. And so a lot of times we join groups, we join gangs, we join this, we join cults because we're trying to fill a void that our family and extended family was supposed to fill. We want to be part of something. You ask any African from the continent, he like, I'm such and such from such and such tribe, blah, 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 blah. Even if he don't got to be a scholar, he can be like, he's going to be able to tell you something that his family's known for. You know, he's going to be able to eat, even if he like grew up here and his parents are from Africa and he don't know nothing. If he's tapped into his family enough where he can still speak the language that his parents speak, he's going to be able to tell you something about their family and what he's a part of and what he represents, even if they were born here. We don't have that. That's natural what they have. So that's a void in us. And so we seek to get it filled in this group, that group, you know, this tariqah, that methodology, this is how we seek to fill it. Because we're trying to fill the void of something that's natural, that we don't have. And that's why, you know, when we talk about family and trying to strengthen a family, that's why that conversation is even more important. And this is why, you know, our broken and dysfunctional families is just only helping and perpetuating the situation that got us into this present situation in the first place. Anyway, I'm tired of ranting. I said I was going to finish 15 minutes ago. Let's recite Al-Fatiha for Sheikh Uthman Danfodio. آمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.